time for Abundant Health Naturally. And we're also graced with the presence of Dr. LiveWell, Dr. Phyllis Russo. And today, yes, there she is. Do you see her, everybody?
I don't know if they do unless I
They're,
talk.
they're going to see you now that you're talking. Today, our episode is really, let's think about this: thoughts, traumas, and toxins. And this is the basis of the subluxation chiropractically. Now, think of this. D.D. Palmer first considered the father of chiropractic. He explored the basics of what we believe to be the main cause of spinal subluxations. Subluxations are misalignments when the vertebrae are misaligned and they're not, they're putting pressure on the nerves. And well, it's on our last nerve. The majority of subluxations causes, well, let's put it this way: a cause of a subluxation fall into three categories: thoughts, traumas, and toxins. Today, we want to talk about thoughts and traumas and how it pertains to the autoimmune issues that we deal with today. Dr. Phyllis Russo, Dr. LiveWell, I am so blessed to have this opportunity to sit with you yet again and then grace your presence to our patients when they get to listen to this on YouTube, Facebook, and throughout our office. Traumas and thoughts. Which came first, the chicken or the egg?
Well, actually, the way you first said it, traumas and thoughts. Oh my.
Yeah.
Um, so now I didn't realize that the trauma, the thoughts, and the toxins were that you were relating to subluxation, by the way. I half listen. I'm so sorry. Anyway, so look, I like how you are like speechless right now.
Well, remember, as I've told you before, when
Yes.
we rearrange the letters of the word listen, that means silent. It spells silent.
Oh, yeah, I've never heard that before.
Because you weren't listening to me. All right. I have a
So
few thoughts.
okay, you start with your thoughts, and I'm just going to tell you this is my wheelhouse, right? This is my wheelhouse because I mean, my background is in emotional health counseling, and in the spiritual, pursuit of getting freedom from removing blockages from our past trauma. So this is my wheelhouse.
Well,
Go for
I think it would be really true and authentic as we have dialogue about thoughts and where do they come from and how does that affect us down the road, and how truly how sick we are today, not me personally, but our society, our world, our culture. I mean, I'm 53 years old and I have never heard so much within our day, because you turn on the news and all you hear is stuff that stresses everybody out, but the fact that we've got mental health issues coming out our flipping ears. Never did I have this in the presence of my everyday life growing up, or I just wasn't aware of it. It wasn't talked about. It wasn't dealt with.
it.
And so where does this begin? I mean, how does this happen? I mean, I have some thoughts about it, but I want to hear from you.
Well, I mean, the way you've just asked that question goes off a little bit from like some of the trauma. I mean, it's there, but let me just say, let's go back to the toxins because it's a toxic environment. And what we do is we immediately, well, it sort of all ties in. We immediately give drugs for um, people who have some sort of we'll call it thought problem, right? But they don't dive in anymore into past trauma. They don't dive into children having this trauma. I mean, we can go on and on. This is such a societal problem. I think it's also a problem that somebody wants us to be very sick individuals. We could call it the devil. We could call it the deep state. We could call it any of those. I don't want to get political. I don't want to get crazy, crazy. But I think that, I mean, I'm way older than you, like way older than you. And I've never seen anything like this. And that's the thing. So, one, we have social media. We see this news everywhere, and it never stops. And probably our brains shouldn't even be, I don't think it's we have the ability, and it's not good for our brains. That's number one.
I agree. I think we are over inundated with stimulus and information so much that our peon-sized brains can't handle all. It's like that Jack Nicholson, you can't handle the truth. We can't handle all this information coming at us, and then you get social media, and then we spew our feelings out on there, which is really not the most safe way to handle these things. And
Yeah.
it infuriates or incites even more issues with people.
So here's what I think. I mean, first of all, I think a lot of this is the beginning of time, right? I
Or
think
the end of time.
no, I think it's been since, what I mean to say is that I think it's been since the beginning of time.
I got you.
I think we've had illness. I think one of the things you said in the very beginning is, did we just not talk about it? I think that it is part of it, actually. That there was, back in the 1950s or 40s, you just didn't talk about things like that. So it's not that it didn't exist, but we kept a lot of it quiet. With that said, our food chain, our food, the chemicals in our food and in our soil, and the preservatives and the extra additives and the flavorings and all of that, I think that is a big issue of people. I can say, I don't know how much I can say here, but let's just put mental illness in general. We could talk about, the shootings, mass shootings, all of that. It's all a mental illness, number one. And so, did we have it a lot before? No, we didn't. Like, that has nothing to do with we didn't talk about things. Every single one of these shooters has had they're on some sort of antidepressive, maybe an antipsychotic. We have such a sick society. So,
And that seed has to start somewhere.
right. So what I was going to say is that's the toxins, right? We cannot deny that. So we're going to put that right now on a shelf. It's an important shelf to put it on because it has a lot to do with how much it's happening, how prevalent it is in this world that we live in. So but we're going to put that on the shelf for right now. The seed is what's happened 30, 40, 50 years ago, 60 years ago in the household with mom and dad and siblings. Childhood trauma is the basis for how each one of us live. That's number one. We're not even getting into chronic illness yet or chronic pain, because the first thing we have to identify is what happened in childhood. So let's just put it this way. Somebody came to me today, they have chronic illness. They have autoimmune. They have heart problems. They have several different things going on. And all I did, I know this person texted me. And when they texted me, it said, the person sent me a lot of lab work. And it was lab work coming in from one text. And I said, wow, this person really wants me to see it. And then they said, yeah, I sent you a lot of lab work. And then the person said, it took me like 6 months to get it after begging and begging and begging.
Hmm.
Now, that could very well be true, but it was the way she said it. She could have said, And I complained and I complained and I complained until I got it. Or I challenged them and challenged them and challenged them until I got it. But she said, I begged and I begged and I begged. And I thought, are we looking at victim mentality? Because, or are we looking at somebody that has lived in, like where she doesn't have self-worth? You see, it shows up in little ways like that. And this is kind of where my observational skills and where, to be honest, where my intuition is, where my training has been. This is those little things I catch. So here she has a list of chronic illness, chronic pain. I think fibromyalgia was in some of these diagnoses. And then I started speaking to this person and come to find out she had some major childhood issues and childhood abuse. Go
It's interesting you say this
ahead.
because the one book that we're going to talk about, Feelings Buried Alive Never Die by Carol Truman. I'm looking at the
No, what
first
is it?
page.
What?
Is
Go
that
ahead. No, go ahead. And then
I'm looking at the first page of chapter 3, Where Feelings Begin. And there's a segment in here about the secret life of the unborn child. And I just want to quickly read this paragraph. Dr. Thomas Verney tells us that the unborn child is not the passive, mindless creature of the traditional pediatric text. We know that the unborn child is an aware, reacting human being who, from the 6th month on, and perhaps even earlier, leads an active emotional life. Along with the startling findings, they have found that they have discovered that the fetus can hear, experience, taste, and even primitive level of learning. So even the fetus, the unborn child in the mom's womb, when mom has emotional things going on in the
oh
life that
yeah,
she's living, that seed could be even sown then.
yes, you brought up a very good point. So I do something called soul retrieval. And basically in a psychological world, there is something that happens. So I always give this example because it's just so out there, right? Makes sense. Let's say dad says, I'm going out for a pack of cigarettes and never comes back. And what ends up happening is you have this experience and then a belief system goes around the experience, right? And then you live it the rest of your life because you know what? Your belief, holding on to a belief system is stronger than fear of death. I will not let go of this belief system. So that's it on a psychological realm. The soul, now my belief system about the soul is I come from a Jewish background. And the soul basically in the Jewish religion is that it comes into the womb at about 3 months old. It's a very Mideastern, Iranian, Arabic, all of that is a belief system that the soul, the spirit is there, but the soul is not necessarily there until about 3 months. Now, every religion might be different, but that's how I look at it. With that soul being intact, it gets affected by the mother's emotions. And so some of when sort of the belief systems on a psychological way, just like I told you about dad going away and this child now believes I'm going to be abandoned and I'm going to be abandoned forever. And every time I meet somebody, they're going to abandon me. And it ends up coming true because it's important that their belief system stays intact. Same thing when they're in the womb as well. But that time though, it's more mother. It's that experience of mother. So, if mother is being abused herself, in some way, shape, or form. The baby in the womb is definitely going to experience it. They're going to feel it. They're going to have a belief system. And when again in this ritual of soul retrieval, it's a matter of it's kind of real and an illusion all at the same time, which is part of our soul code. Okay, if something bad's happening, because our soul is all of God, right? We are connected to the Creator. And I always say our soul is like a drop of water or a drop of the ocean, right? We have all the attributes. We've been made in His image. We have all the attributes of God. And that's in our soul, that's in our being. And that little, that part of us that goes, ooh, this doesn't feel like God. This doesn't feel like Jesus. This doesn't feel like the Holy Spirit. This doesn't feel right. And so again, in the practice that I do, it's the experience that that soul kind of says, yeah, I'm out of here. And that part of the soul takes off. Now, is that true? It's an illusion and it's true all at the same time. And that's the beauty of this ritual, bringing it back and then integrating it. You sort of, once you integrate it, you sort of realize, oh, this has been an illusion. God's been with me the whole time. But you see, in our experience, in our ego, in our minds, I don't know if we always believe that God's with us all the time. And so, but the illusion, I mean, the thing is, Satan, this is how I look at it. Satan is very real, which is why we have so many different experiences that aren't good. But God is with us. One of these days we realize, you know, in the terminology of Satan, get thee behind me, when I really talk to Satan and I put that finger up and I say, Satan, get thee behind me, because I'm going to tell you what, you are an illusion. And the only truth is Jesus Christ. That's kind of the way I like when I'm in those circumstances and I'm fighting for the client and my patient and the person I'm working with. That's kind of what it is. Now, illusion, you know, we know that Satan is real, and at the same time, what we really know is real is God. And what happens when you do these type of rituals, they start to feel the wholeness of who they are. It's quite an amazing, it's almost part of his miracles. And so that's what I do a lot of with all the chronic illness and all the autoimmune, is in order to get the toxins out, going back to the toxins, in order to get your health back, in order to stop being in the place of, because chronic illness, and God, people might not want to hear this. I've been chronically ill, so I get it. Like, I'm talking to myself as well. There's a certain sense of identity that comes with chronic illness,
Mm.
whether it's chronic emotional illness, whether it's chronic physical, whether it's the autoimmune. It's real and it's an illusion all at the same time. The only truth is God. The only truth is the Holy Spirit. The only truth is Jesus Christ. Now, we have to work through all of this stuff to ultimately see him, or we don't. Some people just see him. And either way, but I don't work with the people that just see him. I work with people who see him, and I have a lot of Christian clients. They see him, but there's still that part of themselves that sees the other junk, the other part of them that's self-worthy, that their lack of self-worth is not God. Jesus doesn't say, hey, I want you to get better before you see me. But actually,
Never,
people,
never, ever has he
yeah,
said that.
but people can be that simultaneous. I swear I'm unworthy. But they don't. It's they get that God sees them in their worthiness because he fashioned us, and they don't all at the same time.
So what you're saying is believing and unbelieving at the same time. because
Yes.
we wrestle back and forth between faith and unbelief.
Yes.
Okay. And when we experience disappointments in our life, our hearts get hardened, and it's harder for that person to see beyond their circumstances. And
Correct.
then that's where the pulling out, they have to, we're said to, all we need is a mustard seed, and we can tell that mountain to move, that sickness, that illness, or what have you. We can speak to it and it will move. It's just a matter of, where is my belief
Yeah, and where's my voice?
or
Like
truth?
the thing is, another way of saying our hearts are hardened as we get older, it's the same thing. And I'm just going to start taking it from that psychological way. As we get older, we keep ingraining that belief system more and more, which is sort of the same thing as our hearts get hardened.
Well, that's
It,
also why we have to be transformed by renewing our minds. We have to dig in deeper and build
amen.
a better belief system, breaking the chains of what we've been believing and go towards something that is more truthful.
So I'm going to give you another for instance. And this is one of my Christian patients. Not only is she church going, but she believes in the Lord wholeheartedly. I did not realize she was an alcoholic many years ago. And I did not realize she also has two other um, like addictions. Yeah. So one is binge eating, and one is OCD. We kind
Oh,
of laugh at her OCD because she's very clean, but it's still a terrible addiction because it takes up a lot of her life. And so, with that said, so on that one, I did a different ritual with her. And that is, we went back to, she has a terrible, I'm telling you, I can't even tell you the abuse that's out there. I know you know some of it. I know so much of it. I never thought I'd ever see what people, the trauma people have gone through when they were children, and how adults abuse children. Anyway, so I almost want to take my phone out. I will in just a sec. Um, so we did what is known as, it's like a deliverance, if you want to look at the terminology in Christianity. In as a shaman practitioner, the ritual is called spirit extraction. And we went back in and we just pulled that out. We pulled the devil out, basically. And when it was done, she felt lighter. She said, for whatever reason, she felt unburdened. And I want to give you um, a text message because this is how quickly you said, how did you say it just now? That something about your faith, turning about, how did you say it?
well, gosh, I'm going to have to rewind.
It,
um, that we're constantly bouncing between faith and unbelief. And it's a constant wrestling match. You, the more that we believe, the stronger our faith can get. We all have a measure of faith, whether it's a mustard seed to tell that mountain to move, okay? And every one of us having that health issue of some sort, it depends on, let's put it this way, how we speak to ourselves and others, life and death in the power of the tongue.
Mhm.
So we need to be more aware of how we speak to ourselves and how we feed ourselves the
Thank you.
right thoughts.
Okay, that's what you said, even right thoughts. So again, sometimes our thoughts are still wrapped up in that crazy abuse system. That's kind of what sort of the power of this podcast that we're doing today is what happens is in childhood and how it stays and stays and stays. After I did this, within 2 hours, 3 hours, she contacts me again. And the text was, I feel so incredibly sad. and heartbroken. Now, this was after that, but here we go. My two best friends, binging and OCD cleaning, have moved away.
Hmm.
Now, when that miracle happens,
Yeah.
do you know how much more time she'll have for the Lord, for even reading scripture, for spending time with the Holy Spirit?
You mean the chains of that bondage are
Yes,
set free
yes,
and she can experience true freedom?
yes, yes. And I'm telling you, sorry about that. I see that a lot. I see that a lot. And so, and that's, you know what? I know, I don't know. And again, by the way, she also has chronic illness too. And you'll find this chronic pain, chronic illness. Look at the background. Look at child. It doesn't have to be as bad as hers. It could be interpretation, by the way. Childhood trauma, by the way, can be interpretation. Have you ever done NET, neuro emotional technique?
I have not, how do you say, had the opportunity to dive into that. I have experienced it with other doctors that I've worked with, but utilizing it fully, I'd love to get to know Dr. Scott Walker and study under him. I think that would be a tremendous opportunity to grow my, how do I say, my sphere of influence.
Yeah. It was I mean, honestly, first of all, I think Scott Walker is one of the kindest doctors people you'll ever meet. And so I bring it up because we're talking about interpreted trauma. Doesn't have to be abuse. It's just interpretive trauma. So remember, go ahead. What were you going to say? You look
Well,
like
it's interesting you say that because, even if, say, you're living in the most safest environment, you could perceive something and, the scatter and chatter on our shoulders that we're constantly fighting, you could perceive that and say, oh, wow, this is bad. Or the influences of your peers, you're comparing yourselves to others and you think that your situation is bad or different. And you meditate on that. I remember Pastor Jeff Perry always saying from the pulpit, what you meditate on today shows up on your doorstep tomorrow. So you really have to be careful about what you're feeding yourself.
exactly
Words,
the pro
seed, the
right.
seeds,
Like
words are
we know,
seeds.
right. We know that in the church, but we don't dive into it, I think, enough. That's
Well,
why
but it's out there. And the book we were talking about momentarily, there's Deepak, there's a portion of it quoted by Deepak Chopra in his book Quantum Healing. And this is really, really cool because
I love it.
even in this, gosh, I gotta find the chapter. You may not think you can talk to your DNA, but in
Oh,
fact, you do continually. So everything that we say to ourselves has an effect. Our sickness, our traumas, our emotional stress, accidents, healings, it affects
that's
our body.
it's 100%. I agree.
Everything in life pours out of DNA, flesh, bones, blood, heart, nervous system, the baby's first words, a toddler's first step. We everything we feel, every thought, every emotion we experience says a message to each cell in our body. How many cells do we have? 100 trillion cells. And when we either perceive something's wrong or something bad has happened to us, it's affecting our DNA.
Remind yourself though that the 100 trillion cells, they're constantly being renewed, and that's the beauty. It's the beauty of epigenetics, and it's the beauty of God.
Fearfully and wonderfully made.
Right. And that's why we always have a second and third and fourth and 10th and 100th chance to make life different. If we are talking to somebody who has a certain amount of depression, or a certain amount of chronicity, whether it's emotional chronicity or physical chronicity. Telling someone, and you're 100%, 110% correct. Telling somebody though that you can, if you change your mind, right, you're going to change your epigenetics, you're going to change your RNA and DNA and make it more positive. Deepak, if you ever meet Deepak, it's like you have somebody ethereal. I mean, he's quite the amazing human. There are those that just have a hard time seeing it. And those are the one, and the reason why is that that abuse from childhood, 0 to 7, is so in our DNA
Mm-hmm.
that it's that ingrained that it's hard to get out of. Now, why does it happen? Why is the numbers from 0 to 7? And that's because our neurotransmitters aren't formed. And all we are, I say it two different ways. One is we're in survival mode. We have to depend on these adults. And the other is, I say, we're like little beings walking on psilocybin mushrooms. Like that's the interpretation part that we don't get like, oh, mom is having a bad day because dad, yelled at her. Or mom is, not feeling well because she doesn't have enough, she doesn't know how wonderful she is, and she doesn't have enough self-worth. We don't have that capability. All we see is mom's hurting us or dad's hurting us, or I can't, that's it. That's all we get, and we make our entire life. I've worked with people who are in their 70s and 80s that still hold on to that belief, and Christians as well, because it's in us. It's so ingrained. It's already wrapped up in that sort of DNA, and they don't know epigenetics. Epigenetics we can fix with food and good foods and all of that, but today's conversation is about emotional stabilities and what causes our thoughts and our what causes our thoughts is our traumas. And so one of the things I was going to say about interpretive trauma, and I mentioned NET, I'll never forget it. At one point, when I was training in NET, and we had partners. Pat was, you remember Pat Fox? He was my
Yeah.
partner at the time. I think it was Pat. And we went back and forth, and it's a muscle testing. It's sort of getting deeper into, first into the meridians, right? And then getting deeper into the emotions, and then getting even deeper into who's that person in your life, right? So the first thing that came up was my dad. I'm like, okay, my dad is like the greatest person ever. Like, I love him and never have not. Then the second thing that came up was the emotion of abandonment. I'm like, my dad, like I'm an adult. I don't get it at all. Well, then what we got into it, when we got very deep into it, the abandonment was about he went to work every day
Mm.
and he left me with the crazy lady, which was my mom. And she wasn't even that, I mean, honestly, my mom wasn't that crazy, but she was a little scary.
Your
And
perception was growing, though.
exactly. And so the point is that that was, so that's the belief system that I went to the rest of my life, where a man is going to abandon me. And if I didn't, when I was dating, boy, if I had to train myself to get out of that experience of, okay, he's not calling me within 24 hours. That was my whole adult life. And so, and I had to train myself until I cleared it in NET, because there is a way to clear it with the acupuncture points. Um, and then it was much easier. Then it wasn't, I trained it. Then it wasn't, I had to work hard at it. Then it wasn't, I had a challenge anymore.
So what you're saying, it's not about your performance, working harder, working smarter, doing things differently. I mean, it's just we live in a, especially in the church background, because most of the fundamentalist teaching is Well, you're not doing it right. You have to work harder. You have to pray harder. You have to pray and fast. And you got to go to your chiropractor 50 times in order to remove that subluxation. You didn't do enough. And it's not that hard. It's not about it based on our performance because unfortunately, you're going to fail at it. And when you continually fail and fall on your face and you're going back to that same perception and thought process, like I'm doomed. I'm damned if I do and damned if I don't. So there has to be a willingness to let go.
Yes. Which is why I only work with the willing. Do you know what I'm saying? Because I can't just take somebody off the street and say, hey, let's talk about your trauma. You've got to have somebody that is willing to look at it and willing to go, you know what, I want to let go of it. I like the idea of freedom.
Well, it has to be it's kind of like when you look in the Bible, when we talk about submitting to one another, submitting to God, it's a mutual submission. Some people get twisted up on that word submission within marriage. Okay, it's mutual submission. So, in that same light, I can't, behind me, you see this adjusting table and the nutritional vials. I can't do that on anybody that doesn't want it to be done on
Right.
them.
Right.
If I sit down doing a new patient exam, I need their permission. Hey, do you want to go ahead and do this so that we can find out what's going on? Day two, when they come in for their reported findings, hey, we're going to sit down. Do you want to know what's going on and what we came up with for our plan of attack to help get you better, how your body can heal better? And when they give us that permission, bam, let's get at it. Let's do it. These adjustments, I can only do them if you're here.
Right. We can't do it long distance.
Yeah. I mean, as much as we want to try and think about it, C1 has been moved to the right on Mrs. Jones, you know, it doesn't work that way. I physically have to put my hands on you.
That's why it's Cairo.
Kairos, yes, chiropractic, hand.
That's what it means.
Amazing. It's amazing. The,
Oh,
also in this book, we talk about
did you not
feelings.
say, by the way, did you not say in the book that it does talk, does it have parts of the body?
I was just getting to that. In this book, Feelings Buried Alive Never Die, there's a section in here that talks about different parts of the body when we're maybe dealing with, say, back pain, lower back pain. And actually, I want to read this one portion, autoimmune system. It's what we've been, talking about. Yeah,
I want
yeah.
to hear this.
So autoimmune system, sometimes it may be laughing on the outside, but crying on the inside.
That is so me.
Feelings totally helpless, have given up,
Oh my God, that's me.
deep seated, SEEDED / seated, sitting down, grief. So, I mean, just think about that. Someone out there listening,
I
watching,
had 2 out of the 4.
having autoimmune issues, when we peel back the layers of the onion, all right, to get to the core of your issue, we're adjusting you, we're putting nutrition back in your body, we're coaching you on how to move better, to not walk 4 miles like I did today. Maybe we walk 10 minutes. But getting to the issue, sometimes you're just trying to give up. Your body's just you're ready to throw in the towel. And it's just amazing looking at some of these. For instance, next one, bedwetting. How many
I'm not a
times?
bedwetter.
Well, not anymore.
I don't know if I ever was. Well, I probably was as a baby.
But these children may have some unconscious anger that they're dealing with.
Mm.
They don't know how to get what you want, or they have a need for attention. They also may have areas of subluxation in the lower back dealing with the bladder meridians or the bladder nervous system. So the lower lumbar spine, the pelvic area, or even the upper cervical from the birthing process,
Ah,
the master switch.
Now, by the way, I have another. I want to compare our books. So this is Louise. Hey,
Hey,
hey, heal your body. Bedwetting. This is crazy because I've never read it before. Bedwetting, fear of parent, usually the father.
yeah, yeah, that's also in this book right here. Yeah.
Like that.
Yep.
What was the other book?
Louise and Carol must know each other.
They probably, well, this Louise has been around a long time, but I don't have autoimmune, which is why this is so old because I don't think autoimmune was a thing. What else? Pull me another one.
All right.
Do thyroid, do thyroid. Pretty please.
Okay, I'll do thyroid after I do lower back pain.
Okay. Do people actually think I'm a real doctor? The pretty please.
Yes, yes. Lower back, lower back pain.
Oh
Feels
yeah.
feels unsupported financially.
Oh, that is true. It's financial burden in this one.
Experiencing fear where money is concerned.
I like that they're agreeing.
Running away from a situation. All right, so thyroid. Conflict between the conscious and subconscious. Lack of love for self.
Well, that's true.
Fears self-expression. So someone is fearing expressing their self. Um, Deep sense of frustration, anxiety, lack of discernment.
Lack of discernment with the thyroid. I wonder how that connects. That's interesting. I like yours better than mine because this, I mean, this, they can all apply. Just mine doesn't, anyway. Well, maybe, I don't know. Anyway, thyroid here is humiliation, but then it goes, I never get to do what I want to do. And then it says, when is it going to be my turn?
I think that's part of self-expression.
I don't. To me, self-expression, see, I didn't think that applied to me either. But you tell me, because maybe I'm not getting self-expression.
Well, okay, not getting to do what you want to do. You're
Oh,
fearful of being able to express yourself, do the things that you love to do. Everybody else always gets to do what they want to do, but Marcia, you know. So, it's just you are suppressing those feelings deep down inside, and you're not willing to, you bridled those emotions so deep that you're not allowing them to come
hmm. I'm going to keep that in mind.
out of fear.
You're going to
Right?
need to, yeah. It's funny because, I mean, it's what I work with all the time. And I certainly, is thyroid. And I certainly work on the emotional status of the person. And I do some of these like soul retrieval and spirit extractions to help them get better. But I've never quite thought of the thyroid in this way. Um,
So let me speak a statement to you that I wrote down the other day.
yes.
Fear is at the center of all trust issues.
Yes, 100%.
So share your thoughts on that statement. You said it's 100%, but there's people that are not going to understand.
Correct. They don't even know they're in fear.
Right.
So this is how I look at things. Um, A Course in Miracles, of which I studied for about 4 years. There's two things there, right? The author says there's two things in life: love and fear. And fear is an illusion. Okay, and therefore, if fear is an illusion, then there is no such thing as defense and attack. Now, this is kind of esoteric, but the thing about fear is it really runs our life. It is like when I talk about the four emotions with clients, I say, do you feel mad, sad, afraid, or glad? And we're never talking about glad. So mad, sad, or afraid. Mad is like the scab over the pus, right? It just is hiding other stuff. Then left is fear and sadness. Fear is that next place that we just live off of fear. Everything is like, so fear and trust go hand in hand. You cannot trust if you're in any state of fear. And going back to what you said in the very beginning, we are in such a distrustful time of society that that means everybody's in fear. And by the way, we are. No matter what side you're on, and all this that happens from social media, we are inundated with this sort of fearful place. And you and I know the answer is Christ. The
Well,
answer is our Lord and Savior.
so let's think about it this way. If
That's
people are
my that's how
constant,
I look at it.
if people are constantly in fear, they can be easily controlled.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I don't mean to laugh at that, but the only reason why I laughed is that that's exactly what's happened.
And we have experienced that numerous times, not just the past 5 years. So, but the opposite of that, as it says in the scriptures, we have been given a spirit not of fear, but of power, love, and of sound mind.
It's there.
It is there.
People just don't always see it, but
But
it's
we're
there.
back to the believing. I have a plaque on the wall in the office as you go down the hallway, and it says, if you can see it, you can believe it, then you can achieve it.
Correct.
So, someone comes in my office and they're uh, seeing what we are able to do for them through the exam process, connecting with them, listening to them. Most of our patients are not heard, right?
Oh, that's a big thing. That's actually what this person said today. Yeah.
So when they get to see that we are genuine, authentic, and then they get to believe and understand, hey, that area that I'm experiencing that pain in, the adjustment is going to help me. The nutrition that Dr. Joe is going to recommend is going to help. Dr. Phyllis Russo, Dr. Dash LiveWell, and in those areas where we get into the deep areas, they can experience it, achieve that healing.
Yes. I wanted to add in now we can go to the toxins.
Okay.
Because the reason why I said that, because of course, you always say something that makes me think about whatever the next thing is in my head.
Squirrel.
If, with all that we're saying, can you imagine, because we're living it, so you can imagine, can you imagine how much we have such a toxic load? Sorry, my camera is doing that. Um, how are we going to find this? Like, how much more difficult we can, but how much more difficult is it to even find our way to God if we are eating the most terrible foods, if we're not taking care of this body, if we're eating red dye number whatever or yellow dyes in our cheddar cheese that vie for serotonin receptors, and we're depressed? It makes all of what we are saying right now and the healing of all of this that much more difficult. That's the importance. We're talking about childhood trauma, and I'm talking about ways that I counsel patients or do therapy, or I do the rituals, or we talk about bringing them to church. How much easier, how difficult it is while you're being inundated with these toxins that are screwing with the neurotransmitters in our brains. How much more difficult it is to heal. So that's where now that part comes in. I said, oh, we don't have to do that part, but now it comes in.
Oh, so it makes sense.
Yes, the
Uh,
three T's. I'm not going to say what I think the T's are for, but
Pardon me if you hear any booms in the background. We're not being under siege and war. A football game is starting just
oh,
down the street, and we
that's
have
so
fireworks going off. So,
that's so funny. I didn't hear it until you said it.
um, so back to the toxins. We are so sick, can't get through. I mean, it's like a vicious cycle. And then our healthcare system that we reside in
That we so
perpetuates
love.
it.
Yes.
because
Amen.
then we add more toxicity to. Now, mind you, there's a time and a place for everything. Everybody that watches this, we're not against everything, but there's a time and a place for certain things to be used. But to blanketly lay across that, okay, you have this, you need to take this pill, or this particular number on your lab work says this, oh, well, we got to give you this pill because we got to get that number down. How about we get to the deeper part of what's going on with this person and understand those deep seated thoughts that have occurred or the traumas that have happened and why we're here in the first place? But no one wants to take the time to do that. Everything has to happen quickly. Everybody's impatient. Go to the drive up window. I want this. Okay. Go to the next window. You get this. So, you know, it's frustrating
It's
because we have developed a system within our office of how we care for people that is different than everybody else. Yet there are people that choose not to go that route because, well, they want something quicker. Well, you're not going to get anything quicker. You might get a feeling of something, but it's not going to be long lasting. And it's my frustration is I'm here to care for you and you're just exercising your free will to choose. And like we said earlier, I can't help them if they're not here. And they have to be willing.
100%. I think I've said that a lot, which means we've agreed a lot today.
Great
How
minds think alike.
how we doing on time, brother?
I think we're feeling a little turbulence, but there's a few potholes here in Pennsylvania that we could smooth over.
I'm trying to think if there's any. This is again, this is my wheelhouse. This is what I know that the Lord has gifted me with. Is this the counsel that I do and the intuition that I have and the depth of work that I can do on this emotional and deep level. And my gift, I feel, leads people to the Lord because I work on a lot of people who are not Christian as well. And they're getting there. They're starting to see it. But it's hard to see it if you're toxic, if you have these thoughts that you don't think you have self-worth, which is totally contradictory to what the word tells us.
That's right.
And it's just hard to see it. It's so easy to say, this is what we do as Christians and do this. But so many people, especially the people that I see and that I work with, it's so hard for them. And I want that to be my legacy, is that I just made it easier for people to find him.
Mhm. It's such a fitting uh, rounding the corner here is that we are willing, our hearts are right in the right place continually because we want to serve. As I've always said, I love to connect with others in hopes to inspire them to experience abundance in their life, hopefully, abundance naturally. And, you know, as we're landing the plane here, it is so true that when we have thoughts, traumas, and toxins in our life, we are subluxated, whether it is vertebral, whether it is our spiritual life, our emotional life, it's subluxated, which means we're not connected in the most right way. And you have to be willing to search out another way of releasing that, accepting that you have the authority, the power to make that change. Um, and it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be. You have to just, hey, I'm willing, I'm ready. Because I know there's people out there that have been suffering with their chronicity of emotional stuff for so long that they would not know how to deal with it if it was no longer there.
Yeah. That was a great final word.